Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This is your daily spiritual check-in with Spirit Matters. My name is Dao Garunga, and I'm so glad that you're here. Wherever you're tuning in from, please know that I appreciate you. We appreciate you, and it's so good to be connected. We are reading through the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, and we're in verse 34. We're going to jump right into it. We read the Bhagavad Gita each day to give ourselves a little bit of spiritual perspective, spiritual contact, spiritual connection. And we need it. We need it, right? Because life is constantly pulling us away, right? Life is constantly pulling us away. Notifications and conversations and mental distractions and pontifications. And I don't even know if pontifications is the right word, but I think so. Just musings and speculations of the mind, and just we need things to pull us back and ground us. And it's really, we need lifelines in spiritual life. We need lifelines in general. What are the things that realign me and bring me back to center? Because otherwise I'm constantly feeling like I'm being torn asunder. How about that language? Torn asunder, brought, just pulled in many different directions with my mind. So we want to be able to just, even if it's just 2 minutes, just come back and read something spiritual and reconnect us. And so we're reading the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you, Bhagavad Gita, for being here for us. We're in chapter 4, verse 34. Krishna's talking about spiritual knowledge. He's been talking about enlightened action, talking about spiritual knowledge. Excuse me. And he is in a verse, very famous verse, where he references the importance of not falling the trap of thinking that you can do it all on your own. Not falling the trap of thinking that you could do it all on your own, and recognizing that we need teachers and guides in our lives. And sometimes in spiritual life, we recognize the need to have teachers and guides in every other aspect of our life. But when it comes to spirituality, we sometimes just think that we're all on our own and that we figure it out on our own. We just do some meditation on our own, and we don't need teachers or guides or spiritual gurus in order to help direct us. The challenge is when we get let down by people because we have a misconception about what it means to be a spiritual teacher. And so Krishna is going to enlighten us a little bit about what to look for. He says, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from that person submissively and render service unto them. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Tattva Darshina, a seer of truth. Commentary. The path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. We already covered that. Yes, I know that. That's why I'm here. Thank you. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord himself. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without following the principle of disciplic succession. This is a very powerful principle. When we meet, whenever we're gaining knowledge or information from somewhere, question the source. Check the source. Where is this coming from? Somebody making something up? Is it being passed down from somewhere? And Krishna himself, in the beginning of the 4th chapter of the Gita, talks about the nature of disciplic succession and the way that knowledge is passed down from generation to generation. It's important. The Lord is the original spiritual master, and a person in the disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to the disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing their own process, as is the fashion of foolish pretenders. The Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3, verse 19 says, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path. Nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master, and when they see the genuine desire of the disciple, they automatically bless the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one submissively hear from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from them in submission and service and inquiries. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. Glad Prabhupada said that. I thought that was very interesting when he mentions that both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned, because the verse mentions two aspects of how to approach spiritual development and discipleship, and being a student, how to be a good student, to inquire, to be submissive, to render service, and to also inquire, which means that we should bring forth our questions and our challenges, and we should not just be blind following, but we should make sure that we are thinking critically and bringing those questions, and also questioning. It's important for us to do due diligence in understanding what is a good source of knowledge and information. And so it's important for us to put things to the litmus test. Is that the word? To be able to ask proper questions to understand whether or not something is to conduct the smell test, whether or not somebody is a genuine teacher or is of integrity, but not to do it in a challenging, egoistic way, but in a sincere, humble manner. So how can I be sincere and dedicated and determined in spiritual life without becoming egotistical and combative and arrogant? How can I maintain a submissive mood of wanting to render service, but also not losing my intelligence? There's once an instance where Srila Prabhupada, who wrote this commentary and translated the Gita that we're reading, was hearing from a group of students who in their local community were experiencing challenges with one of the appointed leaders in that community. And Srila Prabhupada said, well, why didn't you say anything? Or why didn't you do something? And they said, oh, we were just trying to be surrendered. And Srila Prabhupada told them that you should never surrender your intelligence. You should never surrender your intelligence. And so each of us has been gifted with a God-given intelligence. And we recognize that on my own, my best thinking got me here. I'm not going to be able to, with the power of my own intellect, solve life's problems. I need greater wisdom outside of myself. But at the same time, I've been given a God-given intelligence that I could use to navigate the world intelligently and to ask questions. And when something doesn't look right or feel right or smell right, I should look into that. And as long as I am going about it in a humble mood, not trying to attack or not trying to take anybody down or not trying to put myself above somebody else, but I genuinely want to understand. I genuinely want to do what's right. And we shouldn't turn a blind eye to things that don't feel right to us. And so it's a very tricky, important aspect of spiritual development. So that Srila Prabhupada is pointing out for us. Next verse, we'll read this next verse and then we'll leave it at that for today. Verse 35, 35, chapter 4. Having obtained self-realized knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. The result of receiving knowledge from a self-realized soul, or one who knows things as they are, is learning that all living beings are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. The sense of an existence separate from Krishna is called Maya. My, not ya, this. Some think that we have nothing to do with Krishna, that Krishna is only a great historical personality, and that the Absolute is the impersonal Brahman. Factually, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, this impersonal Brahman is the personal effulgence of Krishna. Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of everything. In the Brahma Samhita, it is clearly stated that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. Even the millions of incarnations are only his different expansions. Similarly, the living entities are also expansions of Krishna. The Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that Krishna loses his own separate existence in his many expansions. This thought is material in nature. We have experienced in the material world that a thing, when fragmentally distributed, loses its own original identity. But the Mayavadi philosophers fail to understand the absolute means that 1 plus 1 is equal to 1. And that 1 minus 1 is also equal to 1. This is the case in the absolute world. For want of sufficient knowledge in the absolute science, we are now covered with illusion, and therefore we think that we are separate from Krishna. Although we are separated parts of Krishna, we are nevertheless not different from him. The bodily effulgence of the living entities is Maya, or not actual fact. We are all meant to satisfy Krishna. By Maya alone, Arjuna thought that the temporary bodily relationship with his kinsman was more important than his eternal spiritual relationship with Krishna. The whole teaching of the Gita is targeted toward this end, that a living being as Krishna's eternal servitor cannot be separated from Krishna, and his sense of being an identity apart from Krishna is called Maya. The living entities, as separate parts and parcels of the Supreme, have a purpose to fulfill. Having forgotten that purpose since time immemorial, they are situated in different bodies as men, animals, demigods, etc. Such bodily differences arise from forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. But when one is engaged in transcendental service through Krishna consciousness, one becomes at once liberated from this illusion. One can acquire such pure knowledge only from the bona fide spiritual master, and thereby avoid the delusion that the living entity is equal to Krishna. Perfect knowledge is that the Supreme Soul, Krishna, is the supreme shelter for all living entities. In giving up such shelter, the living entities are deluded by the material nature, imagining themselves to have a separate identity. Thus, under different standards of material identity, they become forgetful of Krishna. When, however, such deluded living entities become situated in Krishna consciousness, it is to be understood that they are on the path of liberation, as confirmed in the Bhagavatam. Liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of Krishna, Krishna consciousness. It's nice to just read sometimes and hear some transcendental sound vibration and instruction. I appreciated most Srila Prabhupada mentioning that the idea of thinking that I'm alone in life, that I'm separate from Krishna, that Krishna is not personally looking out for my life and right here with me is an illusion. It's just a forgetfulness that it's not that Krishna's not here with me, it's that I'm just not seeing him. And there's some sort of cloud of illusion that's preventing me from seeing how Krishna is directing this very moment. And how Krishna is here with me and here present with me, and that I can find Krishna in this moment somehow. And then I'm going to make my way through whatever challenging circumstance I'm in right now, and I'm going to make my way towards Krishna. And that to think that Krishna is separate from me, that I'm separate from Krishna, and that we are disconnected isn't the reality. And to remind myself regularly that when I come to the place of spiritual realization, that I see all living beings and all things in connection with that divine supreme. And so the little reminder today is that Krishna is with you. God is available to each and every one of us at every moment if we endeavor to take the moment to look and to see. So that's my little reflection for today. I'm going to turn over to Kimberly. We're going to end a little early today. Turn it over to Kimberly. She's got some takeaways from us. Would love to hear from her. And then we'll have a couple takeaways, and then we'll go on our way on our day. What you got for us today, Kimberly, so
All right.
far?
Taken away to check the source conduct the smell test. Never surrender your intelligence, and we're all connected to that divine supreme.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate. Beautiful. Grateful for you. Yeah. And I think that it's just for me, how can I invite Krishna into this moment? Or Krishna's already in this moment. How can I open myself up to see Krishna in this moment? It's my little reflection for today. Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. So grateful for you. Love you guys tons. Appreciate you. If you have any questions, feedbacks, thoughts, reflections on the show, you can always write to us at spiritmatters@bhakticenter.org. Please take care. Please be well, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.